Hello, beautiful human, and welcome back to Inner Space. I'm Danielle YS. I've spent my career at the intersection of space science, technology, and the deeper questions of what it means to be human. And what I found is that the most uncharted frontier isn't out there, it's in here. Inner space is where we go within. Because in that inner terrain, beneath the accumulated layers of who you've been told to be and what you've been told to want, is the work you can't not do. The thread woven through every chapter, the dream that keeps beckoning you on, your soul signature. Inner space is where we recover it. Let's explore. Welcome back into the depths. Here's a thread from where we left off. A question that comes through for me as we talk about your path to priestessing is the question of, can you choose to become a priestess or shaman? Can you be the person who says, I'm going to become a priestess or I'm going to become a shaman? I've heard that you have to go through some crazy shit to be able to choose that path. And we dive deeper.
It's such a good question. So there's a couple of answers. I am not from a shamanic culture, but I have heard many of them say that in the traditional path of shamanism, you first have to go through great illness and often near death. And that is the initiation into that spiritual path. So that's an answer that is a secondhand answer because it's not my culture for that path. But when it comes to being a priestess or whatever name you want to put, a sorceress, a magician, whatever that word is for you, unless you are in a culture that has specific parameters, you just have to want to do it. That's all it takes. But like we were talking about before, the people who want to do it, there's a reason why they're meant to do it. Anyone could become a mechanic, anyone, but most of us don't want to do it. Are there initiatory processes to becoming a priestess? I find that yes, there are, but you don't have to schedule them or seek them out. They will find you. Brushes with death, those brushes with transformation, those brushes with deep grief and shadow and coming out the other side are a catalyst for wanting to find this deeper relationship with source. And sometimes those brushes with death are a direct introduction. People have NDEs and they meet spiritual beings. So that does seem to be part of the curriculum, but it isn't necessarily required. And it didn't necessarily have to be in this lifetime. And also, I'm going to say something really heretical because this is my favorite. It seems to me that there has been some kind of curriculum in human consciousness where suffering is how you develop virtues. And I think that's outdated and we should stop. Maybe that was necessary for thousands of years, but I just feel like it's time to outgrow that and we don't have to suffer to develop virtue. And I don't think that you have to have a near-death experience to become a priestess. I don't think you even need to have suffered horribly in this lifetime to become a spiritual based service person. And everyone is attuned to their own people. So I have lived through quite a lot of violence and trauma that I will not go into, but an alarming amount. Like they probably wouldn't put it in Hollywood even. Because of that, and because of the alchemical process that I have been through to become a whole healed person, not that I'm done, I don't know if you can ever be done, but those are the clients that I attract. Those are the students that I attract. Not all of them have been through that, but especially with clients more than students. People come to me when they need somebody who can hold that field without flinching.
Yeah.
So your experiences do resonate with certain type of people. So if you have had a really jolly time of life and haven't had any near-death experiences or any major illness and you've just been having a wonderful time, you can still be a priestess, absolutely. And then the people that will come to you are the people who are also like, Isn't life lovely? It's just so lovely. And then hopefully those people will realize that it's not lovely for everyone and then go try and share some of that loveliness. I don't personally know anyone who has had just a lovely life, but
No, me neither.
but I
Me
don't think that we
neither.
need to continue to suffer.
I agree with that. I see this as a transition that we're moving into. And for me, I apply the masculine and feminine energies to the differences in feeling like we need to go through suffering and choosing like ascetism as the route, as being more of that masculine energy of individualism and control and pushing through the hard stuff. Whereas now I feel like we're coming into this more feminine aspect of allowing and having more capacity to hold the both and like the light and the dark at the same time without having to focus so deeply on the suffering as the only path through.
Yeah.
How does that land for you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, anytime I'm really trying to understand the nature of the universe, I just look at what nature does. That is my Bible. Nature is my Bible. There are seasons in nature where everything is abundant, and the overall theme is not struggle. It's beauty and joy and the most beautiful flowers, and there's just enough. If we take out the human interference and just look at nature itself, there's just enough. And the beauty that comes around Yeltsana, the May Day season, with just all the flowers and the food and the bees and the butterflies and the birds. Nature shows us that there can be seasons like that. And then there are seasons where resources are low. It's hard, it's uncomfortable, especially if you don't have electricity and heaters and lights. So I think that there are these seasons, and we just have to figure out how to flow with those. But in a lot of these parables or examples, or even spiritual teachings that I'm familiar with, where there's extended suffering and then a virtue is developed and now it was worth it, like a lifetime of suffering for this moment of virtue, that makes it all worth it. That's not how nature works. I renounce it. After living a life of suffering and developing a lot of virtues, I am here to bring forward a new way.
Yes, and so it shall be. This is teasing into another question that I have for you that comes from my own personal experience working with a shaman, where ultimately it turned out to be not a good relationship and very much felt like the shaman was showing up in the relationship that they had with their clients in very non-virtuous ways. So I'm curious, have you experienced anything like that with other priestesses or shamans or just in the practices themselves? And if so, what to look out for? Because I think this is important information.
Really, really important information. And yes, I have been in no less than two cults, a Christian one and a Buddhist one. I mentioned before about when I was a young teen. I guess I was a young adult, but still in the teen years, searching for this ancestral pagan pathway. I found people who were happy to be the leader of that and were really unhealthy, harmful people. And then I see people all the time, spiritual quote unquote leaders, and the horrible word that I'm allergic to, gurus. I see a lot of harm being caused. How do we navigate that? You have to be a spiritual adult, even if you're at the beginning of your path. You have to take responsibility for yourself. If it feels wrong, don't fucking do it. Don't let anyone tell you, oh, if you were more enlightened, you would say yes. Fire them. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't trust your intuition. Fire them. Anyone who discourages questions, fire them. Here are the principles that I see to be really blaring red flags of either cult mentality or just arrogance trying to pose as spiritual leadership. You have to do whatever the spiritual leader says because they know best. You can't ask questions. You're not encouraged to follow your own intuition. Isolation from people in your life. When you're on a spiritual path or any development path and you start to change, people will fall out of your life because you no longer are or at the same rate. So it just becomes uncomfortable. Nobody's enjoying it anymore. That's different than somebody telling you, oh, those people are bad for you, don't be with them. Do you have more clarifying questions about that? Because it really is a problem. a huge problem.
Especially because spiritual work is so vulnerable. There is such a power differential. And there's a part of me that wonders with any spiritual leader, is that the more common path that humans take? Because that's a lot of human nature. Or is there a way to consciously show up as a spiritual leader where that doesn't happen, that very much encourages and teaches people to follow their intuition, to ask the questions, to do all these things? Does that inherently not turn into a spiritual leader in the traditional sense because you are evening the ground, basically? Like you were saying earlier, high priestess, higher than what?
I think there is a natural inclination for there to be leaders, right?
Yeah.
We see that anywhere. Some people are just wired that way, like Aries people. They're just wired that way. I mean, I am a teacher, I train a lot of people. I guess I could say I hold a lot of authority as a spiritual mentor in some people's lives. And I'm really honored and privileged to do that. But I have my own teachers I study with, just like my students study with me. I go to my own classes. I look for advice from people who are further along the path than me. So it's not that I have reached some peak and now I can't be challenged. It's not like that. I just happen to be further on the path than the people that are behind me. And I'm happy to show them where the sharp things are and where the cool magic caves are, right? But ultimately somebody else is farther on the path than I am, and I'm asking them for help understanding things. And here's a really beautiful difference. So my heart teacher, RJ Stewart, he's been an esoteric Western mysteries specialist for 55 years, and he started writing books on the subject in 1980. In the old paradigm, people would maybe look at him like, oh, well, whatever he says is true and real. Well, I have so much love and respect for him. And so anything that he teaches, I automatically accept as possible. But ultimately, it's going to be my own experience that decides if it works for me or not. And he encourages that. We do some talking and some instruction, but then mostly he sends you out for a month and you go do the things and report back what happened. And that's the same tactic I take. Like, okay, we're going to meet once a month. We're going to talk about the subjects. I'm going to tell you the things that I've experienced and know. I'm going to give you some methods to go out and find out. And then for the next month, you're going to go find out. And when we get back together, let us know what happened. It's not very often that I would say that I disagree with RJ's experience. It happens every now and then. And even then, I'm not like, no, he's wrong. It's just like, I don't know. For me, I feel different. And there's no part of him that would be like, well, then you can't be my student. You know what I mean? He'd be like, good for you, thinking for yourself, proud of you. And that's also what I try to exhibit, to practice with my own students. I can tell you about my experience. I can tell you about wisdom that I've gathered from other people. I can tell you methods that I know will cause change in your consciousness. But what you experience from that is up to you. That's your experience. Please tell us what it is. We might learn something. I learn stuff from my students all the time. It's fascinating. Yeah. So there's this healthy flow that's still happening. And then I was so excited. It made my little priestess mama heart so happy because I held a priestess immersion where the third-year priestesses who've been training with me for 3 years did 20-minute presentations. And one of them was teaching how to make rose petal beads because that's one of her specialties. And somebody was asking challenging questions. I was getting a little bit annoyed at the edge of the questions the person was asking, but I didn't say anything because it wasn't my presentation. And the wonderful priestess said, I don't know. You should try it and find out. And I was like, oh, I'm so happy. I was so happy. I don't know. You should try it and find out. And that, to me, that is really, yes, I want somebody farther on the path to help me find my way. I want that. And I want to encourage the people who are following me on my path to also find their own path and their own answers and to trust their intuition. The challenge with intuition is that there is so much conditioning around it that a lot of people have forgotten what it feels like. That's where it gets really tricky. So the best I can offer is when it's not intuition, when it's like a script or fear or some kind of like broken record imprint thing. How does your body feel? Usually the answer is closed or closed, constricted. When you're in your intuition, how does your body feel? Usually open, yeah, curious. It feels open. There is a little bit of challenge in trying to figure out where that is, but it's not my job to tell somebody which is which. I might sometimes say, do you feel like that might be an old fear? Do you feel open or do you feel closed about it? But that's it. I can only ask the question. I don't have answers. I have questions.
Yep.
That's why you and I get along so well.
What you're describing brings me back to earlier in our conversation about the channel and being an open, hollow bone and having that energy flowing through and not getting stuck. And what you're talking about with the lineage of teachers to me also feels like that channel where if a teacher has decided to stop learning, that's a block in the channel. And that's maybe a sign.
Yes, I love. Okay, this is like the somatic compass because that's what I was thinking in my mind, but I didn't say it out loud. And then, if you're the teacher farther on the path than you closes the channel, well, you've got enough spiritual agency to just like a river, just go around. Just go around. And maybe hopefully someday they come back online and go back in the stream, but it's fine. It doesn't even have to be like disrespect or breakup or anything. Just use your spiritual agency and go around. Everyone connect to source. It's freely available right now.
And it doesn't even have to be go around to get back onto the same route. It's like it could be a fork in the river. That's fine. What is the one thing that you believe every human should learn? Or take out the should, would benefit from learning?
I think the number one thing everyone would benefit from learning is how to hear, feel, and trust their own intuition, because that's all you need. That's all you need to find your way, and your way is not everybody else's way. And nobody else can tell you what your way is. Not even if I look at your birth chart, can I tell you what your way is? I can tell you the map on your way to wherever you decide you're going. But which detours you take, which path you take to get there is up to you, But this, just remembering this intuition immediately puts you in relationship with the natural world. And then you are alive. You are doing it. You are connected. I get confused sometimes. I make mistakes. It's not that then you're just like, oh, enlightened and you can't make mistakes. It's not that. But when I do get confused, I go back into the, where is it? Sometimes I'm like, I don't know. Is it in my left shoulder? Like, I don't know. It's like misplaced right now. Where is it? So I just do all my practices until it comes back. And then when it comes back, I know I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually just thinking as you did that, I was like, you know what? I should really just start making decisions based on this. I should just go, and see if it matches what's in my field or not.
Tell me how it goes.
I'll give it a month and report back.
Yeah, exactly. Faelan, are there any other questions or shares that you or Source are nudging you to as we wrap up our conversation?
I just want everyone to know, I want everyone listening to this right now to know that you are a magical being and you actually can live the life that you dream of. You just have to find your way, and presence is the first step. So if anyone is hearing this and is like, well, how do I find presence? You can shoot me a message. We'll put my details in the notes and I'll send you a free meditation. This is simple. I think it's like 10 minutes long. My website is roseofvenus.com. On the socials, I'm Faelan Shiva everywhere because I just am who I am. That's what I do. I do have a body of work that I am developing that's not just for priestesses. It's for anyone who really wants to regain their agency, especially women. Those tend to be the people I work with the most, around finding, healing, and reclaiming your sacred voice. So that's my sacred voice alchemy work. And through my own journey, I discovered, after 2 decades of healing and growing and advanced spiritual practices, I found out that I had a block I didn't realize, which was the energetic blockage of my voice. And when I removed that block, I became huge. Like, my energy body became huge. And so that's a long conversation for another time, but I'm really passionate about bringing that work to everyone so that you can become the biggest, most authentic, most powerful version of yourself.
We'll have to have a follow-up conversation about it.
Yeah, and if you go on my website, roseofvenus.com, there'll be a little promotional pop-up that says, hey, do you want to put in your email and get a free gift? And if you do, you'll get a free 20-minute guided journey around finding your sacred voice.
Amazing. roseofvenus.com, and we will put it in the show notes as well. Faelan, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom, for sharing yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoy every conversation we've ever had from the first time I sat next to you.
Same. This won't be the last. Many more to come. We'll see you all next time. Dear explorer, thank you for journeying into inner space today. If something in this conversation stirred something in you, like a long forgotten song from childhood, let that be data, because your body knows before your mind does. Subscribe to Inner Space to keep exploring, and if someone came to mind while you were listening, share this episode with them, because we're not meant to navigate these depths alone. I'm Danielle YS, signing off with love from the edge of the unknown.